What could you do with $40? Could you launch a business or a brand worth billions? CEO, entrepreneur, and Shark Tank investor Daymond John is a believer in the power of broke. What if we told you all you needed were empty pockets, tight budget, and a hunger for success? Follow us on a deep dive into Daymond John's strategies and failures of taking a business from his mom's basement to billionaire baller status. And stick around to the end when we uncover his top 3 secrets to success that you can use to change your own life today. This is the true rags to riches story of Daymond John. You've seen him on Shark Tank, investing in everything from baby back ribs to lemonade, from designer helmets to dog clothing companies. Daymond John is the CEO and founder of the Shark Group, a brand management and consulting firm, and FUBU, an urban apparel brand. Even if you don't own any of his streetwear t-shirts or hoodies, chances are you've seen them featured in LL Cool J and Will Smith music videos. Daymond's net worth is around $350 million. This figure has been boosted largely by the returns and profits he makes from his own company FUBU and his investments in Shark Tank pitches. When his business ventures first started earning him serious money, John went house hunting, and he may have gotten a little carried away. "I went to Miami to go shopping, and I bought 2 houses," John said. "They were like 10 blocks away from each other, and then I realized I wanted a boat, but I didn't have a marina. So then I needed to buy a house on the water so I could buy the boat." But these days, the Shark Tank star and the father of 3 calls New York City home. From his office in the Empire State Building, John runs FUBU, a popular urban apparel company he founded with 3 friends in Queens nearly 25 years ago. After work, he simply crosses the street to get home to his high-rise apartment in Midtown. It's a convenient setup for work, but on weekends, he often skips town to spend time in his Southampton mansion. The rustic but posh 6-bedroom house features a large swimming pool, antique fireplaces, and a brick patio. It's reported to be worth at least $7 million. That includes the several hundred acres of land John owns around the property, complete with private lakes, hiking trails, a thriving orchard, and even an apiary housing 1 million honeybees. Like many successful CEOs who spend a lot of time in the spotlight, Daymond John likes to keep his personal life very private. He hasn't revealed anything about his cars, but given that he travels roughly 280 days a year, he probably doesn't get behind the wheel too much himself. Time is money, and when you're worth $350 million, you can't really afford to get stuck in traffic. He purchased his first private jet in 1999, but the savvy, number-crunching businessman sold the plane just 3 years later and has since switched to chartered flights. The cost, at $450,000 a year, is a steal in comparison. John has said that the extra privacy will always be worth it. Not having to deal with hearing elevator pitches in the security line is definitely one of the benefits of flying solo. But John knows what it's like to be in the shoes of an eager entrepreneur too. It wasn't that long ago he was pounding the pavement trying to rustle up investors for his $1 million idea. John was born into a working class family in Queens, only a few miles away from where he lives now. He credits his parents for teaching him the value of hard work early in his life. His parents always seemed to come up short on bills, so learning how to make enough money to survive was a necessity. Even as a child, he approached life with an entrepreneurial mindset. As early as elementary school, he sold pencils and shoveled snow, whatever he could do to help out. He knew he would need to hustle if he wanted to attain a comfortable middle-class life. Education offered a way out for many of the low-income kids in his neighborhood, but John's dyslexia held him back. "In math and science, I would excel," John said. "I could look at something quickly and get high grades, A's and B's, but reading and spelling were another story." Despite his best efforts, he was a C or D student in language arts. After his parents divorced when he was 10, his family sank deeper into poverty. His mother, who was a homemaker, couldn't secure a job, but instead of giving up, Daymond John decided to be the man of the house. He began working part-time jobs as soon as he got home from school. At the age of just 10, he became an electrician's apprentice and started fixing electrical issues in and around the Bronx. Then, he took another gig handing out flyers for $2 an hour, about $7.42 in today's money. By the time he got to high school, he knew college wasn't in the cards for him. As a teen, he decided his plan was to become a millionaire by 22 years old by selling crash cars. Well, you know, Mike Tyson has an old saying, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face," John said in an interview. "So life punched me in the face, and I was working as a waiter at Red Lobster at 22. I lost all my money. I didn't have any passion." He continued to balance finishing school with a full-time job waiting tables to save up as much money as he could. By the time he graduated, he'd sold everything from pencils to reconditioned cars. Nothing gave him the return on investment he needed to break free from the cycle of poverty. But he wasn't out of ideas yet. In 1992, when he was 23, he came across some wool ski hats in a market. He thought they were nice, but extremely overpriced. He knew he could do better, and better yet, he saw an opportunity. He had learned to sew from his mother, so he bought fabric for $40 and went to work making 80 wool tie-top beanies in her basement. He sold each hat for $10 a piece at concerts and neighborhood festivals. He made $800. Encouraged by his early success, John recruited his childhood friends Alexander Martin, Carl Brown, and Keith Parent to work with him. This was the beginning of FUBU, an acronym for us, by us.
FUBU, MBA 99.
Nah, man. FUBU.
FUBU stands for us, by us.
From us, by us. Daymond's style had been heavily influenced by the flourishing hip-hop music scene in 1980s New York. Like many other teenagers, he wanted to be a part of it, but couldn't afford the clothes. Now he realized he could simply make the outfits and even start setting the trends himself. The hat business grew steadily, and Daymond expanded into making screen-printed t-shirts and hockey jerseys. They were branded with the FUBU logo and carried messages and slogans about celebrities like Rodney King and Mike Tyson. He appointed 2 more friends from his neighborhood and gave them the task of selling the t-shirts on street corners and at events. The business was off to a good start through creative marketing and good management, but it needed more capital to be able to expand beyond his mother's basement and her sewing machine. Luckily, Miss John recognized her son's talent, and more importantly, she believed in his work ethic and business smarts. She knew that if she mortgaged her house to lend John $100,000 to invest in his business, he would use the money wisely. Her support, both financial and emotional, provided the boost John and his company needed. Aside from capital, marketing the brand was the biggest challenge during its early stages, and Daymond John knew he needed to get some celebrities on board to promote it. A year later, John finally got his breakthrough. He'd managed to convince his childhood friend and rapper LL Cool J to wear a FUBU t-shirt to a public event. Later, while shooting for a Gap advertisement, Cool J wore a FUBU hat and used the phrase "for us, by us" in one of his rap songs. The early support from LL Cool J launched FUBU into the public eye, and the brand took off, becoming one of the leading urban clothing lines and setting fashion trends for young African Americans. Around the same time, Daymond managed to receive orders worth $300,000 from Macy's. To deliver the goods, he needed to ramp up the work, and for that, he needed additional cash, more than the seed money his mom had given him. He asked around for loans, but he was rejected by 27 major banks. As a last-ditch effort, his mother put up an advertisement in the New York Times, and it worked. Samsung Textiles came on board, helping FUBU complete the orders. For the next 2 years, John began lending his clothes to up-and-coming rappers, which led to FUBU being featured in about 30 music videos. FUBU's popularity soon extended beyond the inner city to suburban malls in the Midwest and even Russian internet sites, making it a true international powerhouse. By 1997, John was already using his profits to give back. He created the Philanthropy FUBU Foundation, which would go on to raise $1 million annually. In 1998, just 6 years after he'd sold his first hat on his mom's sewing machine, FUBU enjoyed annual sales of $350 million, and John was officially hailed as a branding expert and godfather of urban fashion. Building on the success of his clothing brand, John expanded his business empire with the launch of FUBU Entertainment, a sportswear line that quickly gained a sizable following of professional athletes, and a web portal designed to target the untapped market of African Americans on the internet. "I'm a kid who came from Hollis, Queens," John told the New York Times in an interview. "We were all told you're going to be dead or in jail by 21. Now look at me. Life is too good." FUBU's annual revenue continued to grow, eventually earning over $6 billion in global sales. His incredible rags-to-riches success story caught the eye of television executives. In 2009, John was asked to join the cast of ABC's new reality business show, Shark Tank, which gives entrepreneurs the opportunity to pitch their businesses to investors, or sharks, in the hopes of receiving an investment. In the past 13 years, John has personally invested millions of his own money into a whopping 61 entrepreneurial ventures through the show so far. In 2015, Daymond John was appointed by then President of the United States, Barack Obama, as an ambassador of underserved entrepreneurs to give back to his community and mentor young people like himself. In the same year, he co-founded Next Level Success, a program designed to teach business owners and entrepreneurs how to start and grow their businesses. Resolved to share his hard-learned lessons from both major successes and failures, Daymond has written 4 New York Times best-selling books: Display of Power, The Brand Within, The Power of Broke, and Rise and Grind. Outperform, outwork, and out-hustle your way to a more successful and rewarding life. We've distilled some of the best lessons Daymond John has revealed over the years to share them with you. Here are his top 3. First, focus on what you can do today. It doesn't matter who you know or how much money you have. You do not need money. You don't need contacts to be successful, John said. You need to tap into a market and find a following. With a good idea, passion, and a committed work ethic, John said you can succeed even without financial resources, hence the title of his best-selling book, The Power of Broke. Sometimes, empty pockets, a tight budget, and a hunger for success can become your greatest competitive advantage. Second, learn from your failures. For 3 years, John worked at Red Lobster by day and sold hats by night to launch his company. "I closed the company 3 times because I ran out of money," John said, but thanks to good partners and mentors, he was able to eventually build his hat empire into the internationally recognized FUBU brand. John knows better than anyone that Rome wasn't built in a day. To create a company as large and successful as FUBU, know that it may take some time, and that the first failure doesn't have to be final. It's a step-by-step, he said. Every real business or real project takes anywhere from 6 to 8 years to take hold. It may be tempting to give up, to pack it in and return to your old job, but all good things come to those who persevere in the face of failure. And now, You can just remind yourself that you have Daymond John's official blessing to keep going. Third, give back. There's a reason John tends to align himself with companies that give back. It makes customers feel good to know that their money is contributing to a better world. If you want your business to succeed, give back to a cause you believe in. And remember, you don't have to be a big company to be impactful. John points to sock company Bombas, which donates a pair of socks for each pair purchased. As an example, they're not changing the world. They're making socks, he says, but they still have a great story. It was for that reason that John chose to invest in Bombas, and it's been one of his greatest Shark Tank success stories. We hope you learned something about Daymond John's journey from sewing hats in his mom's basement to making dreams come true on Shark Tank. Remember, focus on what you can do today, learn from your failures, and give back. Do you agree or disagree that we got all John's life lessons right? Would you add others? And make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more rags to riches stories and personal lessons from your favorite celebrities and entrepreneurs. We'll put out new videos every week, so stay tuned for more inspiring content you can apply to your own life. See you next time, Rags to Riches TV fans.